Very good evening, friends. Meeting again in the session of Materia Medica. And today we're going to learn one of the important remedy from the fourth year syllabus as well as from practice point of view. Those who used to do gynec practice, it is a wonderful remedy to be considered. It is Sabina. It is from conifery family. This remedy has many aspects. It is a very deep antipsychotic remedy. It is very close to Thuja. In fact, it has been said that Thuja and Sabina, they are complementary to each other. And many features are common in Sabina and Thuja. It has a uric acid diathesis, producing rheumatism, uric acid rheumatism or gouty rheumatism. It is one of the important remedy. Then it has a warts, especially around the genitals, around the anus, around the mucocutaneous junction, like nitric acid. So here it is very close to it. I have used this remedy many times in practice, specifically when a female who is at the climacteric period or menopausal period having a DUB, diagnosed as a dysfunctional uterine bleeding. Bleeding is partly clotted, partly fluid, or uh, that is bright red like phosphorus, but clots at the same time clotted. And when it is associated with a very severe pain, backache, it is excruciating backache, and pains are going from back to the forward region. So it is called to be a pain, severe excruciating pain in back or in small of back to the pubis. This is a wonderful remedy to be considered. Generally, it happens in fibroids. Whenever the fibroids, bleeding fibroids are there, and specifically after the age of 40, if they are there, and they are bleeding with severe, very severe backache at the time, then you must think about the Sabine. At this period, specifically the climacteric period, these ladies, they have one important feature which is common with natrum carb. Music makes them depressed more. It is music is unbearable. This is very important feature. They cannot tolerate music generally during that period. This is because of hormonal imbalance which happens to be there, and hormonal imbalance is quite common with the natrum families also. Here it goes with natrum. And second important thing, where I used to think these are the ladies where they want open air, like a pulsatilla. They are always feeling better in open air and they are aggravated in a closed room. Second important feature which is goes with the pulsatilla also is that shifting types of pain generally happens to be there with this remedy as well as pulsatilla. So there are many remedies which comes together when you think about the Sabina. I have used it many times. I used not for the gouty cases, but I have used in DUB cases, and I had many more. Even in retained placenta, I had an opportunity to use this remedy when Sabina failed, and then when CKL failed, and then I thought about the Sabina, and it worked so beautifully. It recovered the case very fast. So this is a wonderful remedy. One has to learn and understand. Then you will understand the depth of the remedy. The action is nearly about 20 to 30 days. Interestingly enough, this remedy was proved by the student of Dr. Hahnemann, Dr. Staff, and Hahnemann was one of the prover, and Hahnemann's son was also one of the prover during that. So Dr. Staff, who was the prover of this remedy, so this is Savine. It is from conifery. Open your Alinsky notes. Chronic elements of woman. See, first sentence, you must understand chronic elements. It is not an acute remedy. It is a chronic element. Fibroid is a chronic element. Rheumatism is a chronic element. Chronic elements of women, arthritic pains. Think about it. This is very important feature. One should not forget. Tendency to miscarriage. Yes, this is one more remedy one must think along with the sepia, where specifically the third month abortions are there. So, tendency to miscarriages, especially at the third month. Music is intolerable. See, music is intolerable, produces nervousness, goes through the bone and marrow. So it affects the bone, it affects the marrow, and they cannot tolerate any type of music. It's too important to understand. Music is intolerable, causing weeping is the thuja. It produces weeping tendency, then it becomes a thuja. Drawing pains in small of back. Small of back is nothing but the belt area. It is the sacroiliac joint area. That space is called as small of back. Drawing pains in small of back from sacrum to pubis in nearly all diseases. From back going round the body to the pubis is viburnum. Again, these are the two remedies which comes very close to each other. Viburnum also has the tendency to produce the abortions. Viburnum also has the tendency to the DUB bleeding. So one must always compare at the very particular level. Elements from following abortion or premature labor. See, whenever there is a premature labor, whenever there is a very early abortions, third month abortions, elements hemorrhage from the uterus, flow partly pale red, partly clotted, worse from least motion. That is a modality one must think, and it shares this modality with the sickle core. Sickle, there is a uterus which doesn't have a strength. So this is very important. Uterus doesn't carry the strength over there is the sickle. Often relieved by walking, pains are extending from sacrum to pubis. This is the keynote of the savina. Say pain from sacrum to pubis. That is very important. With each and every symptom, this is marked symptom. Menses, they are too early, too profuse, too protracted. So it is long lasting. You get the rubric in your repertory, menses protracted. For menorrhagia, this is the rubric, menses protracted. And the beauty of homeopathy is that it has been given menses protracted 7 days, 8 days, 10 days, 12 days, 15 days. It has been mentioned like that. This is very important. We have that much of proving where we can utilize a specification. Partly fluid, partly clotted like parum. Menses in persons who menstruated very early in life. So where the menstruation has started very early in life and where there is menorrhagia, menses flow in paroxysms with colic and labor-like pains. Menses pains from sacrum to pubis. See, this sentence comes again and again. It has very big meaning. This is the keynote which one has to understand. Patient comes and patient says, Dr. पाठीमागून पुढं कुठपर्यंत इतकी चमक जाते ना. That is their sentence. It goes from back to front, very strong. And that when patient talks, that is a typical of a sabina. Discharge of blood between the periods. What is saying? Discharge of blood between the periods, that is like metrorrhagia with sexual excitement, like embragresia. Retained placenta from atony of uterus and intense after pains. After pains means after passing the fetus, after passing the parts, after passing the placenta. Those are called to be after pains. These are labeled as after pains. So retained placenta from atony of the uterus, intense after pains, coliphylum and sickle. These are two remedies one should not forget. Then menorrhagia. During climacteric in women who formerly aborted. So see, this is very important remedy for menorrhagia, specifically in during climacteric period in women who formerly aborted with early first menses. So those who have menarche very early and they had amenorrhea, tendency to menorrhagia, specifically during climacteric period, and who had history of abortions, must always think about the Sabina. This is the state of the remedy which has been mentioned in one sentence or one paragraph. It is also good remedy for inflammation of ovaries and uterus after abortion or premature labor. So premature labor, abortions, this tendency is there associated with inflammation of the ovaries and uterus. It promotes the expulsion of moles and foreign bodies from the uterus like cantheris. In cantheris, it is associated with severe UTI. Here it is not associated with that. That is a big difference between it. Pigworts with intolerable itching and burning. Pigworts, these are the excrescences or warts, cauliflower-like warts appears around the genitals. They are called to be a pigworts, and generally they are at mucocutaneous junction. They are associated with exuberant granulation, thuja, nitric acid. These are very close remedies. In fact, thuja is the complementary to this. Relationship complementary to thuja, this has been mentioned. Compare calcarea, the crocus sativus, millefolium, the cecal core, and the trillium pendulum. So the remedies which covers the fibroid uterus always comes closer to this remedy. Follows thuja in condylomata as well as psychotic affections. Condylomata, they are the flat warts around the genitals, specifically at the mucocutaneous junction. That is an indication of the psychotic miasm. Aggravation from least motion, this is keynote like cecal. Aggravation from warm air or room like apis and pulsatilla. And amelioration in cool, open, fresh air. So they desires open air and they feels better in open air. That is very typical of the Sabina. So this is in short about the Sabina. One should not forget this remedy. Very useful remedy, specifically fibroid uterus at the climacteric where bleeding is not getting stopped, with menorrhagia for longer time of periods, with vaginitis, with ovarian inflammation, with uterine inflammation. One should not forget the Sabina. You can use in repeated doses. Generally, I used to use in 30, very occasionally 200. But I used to repeat the Sabina in my cases. So it has a 20 to 30 days action, and the antidote is pulsatilla. So that's all about the Sabina which we have learned today. Tomorrow we'll continue with our meet. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night.